everybody, what's up? It's your girl Osiris with 15 Minutes the Show. Today I have the wonderful pleasure of being in Van Nuys, California with an amazing man, I would say, amazing and kind of interesting background. He is now the president of the North American Boxing Foundation, which is a huge step from a person that has come from being a local kid here in Los Angeles County, Mr. Alan Santana. Say, hey everybody.
Hey everybody, how are you?
Hey Alan. So like I said, you rose from being a local kid here. I read your bio. You were a local here, you went to high school here. Then you all of a sudden started doing boxing tournaments when you were like 8 years old, I think your bio said. So talk to us a little bit about how it feels to have transitioned from being a local kid to now the president of the North American Boxing Foundation.
Well, and first of all, that's fine. I am president of North America for the World Boxing Foundation. Our headquarters is in Australia. Actually, our president is Mick Croucher there. Wow. He would be the worldwide president. So I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
But as far as going into boxing, I was 8 years old when I put my first pair of gloves on, and the reason I did that was I was bullied a lot as a kid. So I got fed up with it one day, and I went home and I'd asked my father to basically teach me how to defend myself. So I went out and bought me some gloves and a heavy bag, and that was my introduction to boxing, basically, to self-defense. Well, I stuck with that, and I really, I liked the sport. I enjoyed it, and it kind of led to me having quite a few fights as a kid, inside of the ring, of course. And then from there, I went to the amateur ranks, went into the amateur ranks, and had well over 200 amateur fights. So that was my introduction to boxing as a kid. And from there, as an amateur, I actually stayed amateur until I was 27 years old.
And then what happened after when you turned 27? How does the transition go from? I don't know. I love boxing, but I don't know that most of us don't know the in and out of the behind. What happens? How you get from one belt to another, or one weight to another? What was the transition like that, going from young and then to 27 and doing it?
Well, it was an easy transition. You can remember I fought from 8 years old till 27, pretty much continuously. I didn't take a lot of time off in all those years. So what we did at that point, I decided I was going to turn professional. And my father went out and found a manager, Earl Beebe, who was a great guy. Earl was already up in his late 80s at that point.
Oh, wow.
But he had been in the fight business for well over 50 years. So I was one of the last professional fighters that actually managed, and he trained me. I had trainers, but he also trained me. And the transition was easy. One of the things where it was a challenge, and I love challenges. They said, oh, you're too old to turn professional, you're 27. Now you got to remember, back in that day in the 80s, most fighters, especially at that weight class, I was 128 pounds. My walking around weight was 135, but I fought in the featherweight division, or in the featherweight division, I should say. And a lot of guys, you don't last past 25, 30 years old in that weight class, and that was just kind of the way it went back then. Today, fighters are fighting well into their 40s now.
Well, I mean, it's a different society too. Now, I know you. What I find interesting about your story, and what I think our audience can appreciate, is that you went from being a fighter yourself to having an organization called No Teen Riders and managing that. Also being a husband, being a father, and being this kind of person that has been able to adapt and wear all of these different kinds of hats within the frame of sports. Because I don't think people know, I looked at your bio, a lot of what you've done, it's also you've interviewed people within the sports industry, and that's a lot to have in one big role, since coming from a local kid to now what you're doing. So explain how you managed to fit all those things in. Another question that I want you to answer before we leave that subject is, do you think that sports, boxing in general, is healthy? What does it do? How does it benefit a person from doing sports in particular? Because you're involved in boxing, this particular sport?
Well,
You know you're well-rounded in sports,
Right.
but I'm saying in this particular situation.
in boxing, I think that you have to look at each individual person, because we're all individuals. But one of the things that I loved about the sport, okay, it's a regimented sport. It's very regimented, okay. So you get up, you do your road work early in the morning. You'll then go to the gym for 3-4 hours a day, whatever it's going to be, and then you go home. You have to eat proper. So it's very strict and very regimented. As far as your health, I think it's a great way for anybody to get in shape. It's one of the hardest workouts out there. When you look at all the other, you look at the health spas, the gyms, everything that's out there, it's a boxing regimen, a training regimen will get you in top shape.
Because you have to deal with diet and you have to deal with mental attitude and
Right.
aptitude, right?
Right.
So what happened in your life to take you from that world and broaden it into your organization, your own personal organization, which is No Teen Riders? Please let our audience know what No Teen Riders is and why you decided to start that organization outside of your sports involvement.
Well, No Teen Riders is a nonprofit that that journey started about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's been a long journey. With the economy and everything, I kind of had put it on the back burner for a while, and I was waiting for things to get better. The reason I got involved in it, I started, that nonprofit was to bring the awareness to teenagers and parents about driving and the laws when it comes to driving as a teenager with a provisional driver's license. We were out at dinner one night on a Saturday night many years ago with our friends, and they got a phone call. And I could tell my friend, she was very upset, and it was a police department on the other end of the phone, or a police officer on the other end of the phone, I should say. And he basically had pulled over her daughter's car, said, "Look, we have the kids all on the curb here. We're going to cite your daughter for driving with friends in the car when she shouldn't be carrying them in the car." And then the parents had to come and pick up all of her friends. So I could see how upset they were, and that was one of the reasons that I wanted to do something about it. The others, I had a cousin that was killed probably 12, 13 years ago, maybe longer. 16 years old, and he lost control of a car on a Saturday night in Kentucky. The car flipped over, and him and 2 other of his friends perished. So again, it happens on a daily basis, and I just felt that it was something needed to be done. Something needed to be done to bring it to the forefront, so that people would understand what was going on. It's kind of taboo. Maybe they sweep it under the carpet, and you don't hear a lot about that. So,
with respect to teenagers, and why did you choose teenagers? I mean, why not adults that are incapable of comprehending things? But you chose teenagers or teens. So why the interest in just that particular group?
Well, again, a lot of teenagers lose their lives, and they're very young when they lose their lives. I've 14, 16, 17 years old, even 19, 20 is too young to lose your life in an automobile accident.
Is that fact that's been swept under the rug? You think of how many people die, how many teens
I
die?
think so. I mean, now we've done our homework, and 2,500 kids a year lose their lives.
Wow.
So when you think about that, you take that and you stretch that over a 10-year period. That's 25,000 kids that lose their life. So that's a lot of children, a lot of teenagers.
Yeah.
So I felt that something needed to be done, and one of the problems was when these teenagers have their driver's license. When you have a license as a teenager, it's hard for the law enforcement officers to figure out who has a provisional license and who doesn't. And they just
why
can't.
is that?
They can't just pull anybody over, without probable cause, as they say. So it's hard to pull somebody over unless they break a law, or when they're driving. So they run a red light, or they run a stop sign or something. So they just won't pull them over. But by coming up with this frame, which I will show you here in a sec.
Okay. Here we go. Drum roll.
This frame that
let's get a close up on that.
Sure. That I designed.
Can you hold that up near your? Hold it up a little higher.
There you go.
All righty. There we go.
So
and that says provisional license, NoTeenRiders.org, which is Alan Santana's organization. So go ahead, Alan.
So anyways, this frame here, I designed this frame. I figured just by doing this, I give it a little bit of thought, and I figured that, I first it goes, how do you figure out who has a provisional license and who doesn't, right? So I said, well, for me that was easy. There was an easy answer to that. So I come up with this frame. I went home, basically drew the frame up one night. I come up with the logo, the designs for the decals and the bumper stickers, and I put it on paper. I then took it back to my business partner, Eric Ratley, the next morning. I said, hey, I need you to clean this up for me, and I have an idea on how we can bring awareness to what's going on with these teenagers and driving by creating this frame that they would put on the back of their cars. And so that's, again, basically that's how it all came about.
Well, how does the LA district and their police departments, and how does that all fit in? Do you have to coordinate with them? What do you have to do to work with them? I mean, apparently they have to be involved, do they?
Well, yeah, they have to be notified. I think it's bringing awareness to that. So what we would do is take the license plate frame to the police department, and usually meet with the captain, whoever's there. They usually have somebody that works traffic. So we'll, I've done this in a couple places across California, and I take the license plate frame in. I give them a business card. I have a brochure with me usually, and I will explain to them what we're doing. Once we do that, we say, look, you're gonna start seeing these frames on the back of teenagers' cars. That means they have a provisional driver's license. They're pretty receptive to the idea. I haven't had any negative feedback with it at all, wherever we've taken it, be it here in California or other states across the country.
How has the law enforcement divisions here in Los Angeles County, and perhaps we'd love to see this program travel or spread worldwide, how have they been instrumental in making sure that the program is implemented in the proper manner? And is there any kind of educational program or plan to educate the parents and the teachers about this kind of problem or issue with teens?
Yeah, well, you know what, and this is kind of funny. We actually got this launched in Atlanta, Georgia, believe it or not, first. That was the first place we launched the program.
Really? Why Atlanta?
I just worked out that way. It's strange how things work out. I happened to be back there working a title fight one day a few years ago, where I met some people who introduced me to some people, and that's why we launched it in Atlanta first. The senator there in Atlanta, one of the senators, actually loved the program. I think she might have lost a son or someone in the family to the same way,
so she could really
tragic
understand.
accident. So she could relate to it. So what she did was actually created a resolution in Atlanta, Georgia for us for No Teen Riders. So September 15th is No Teen Riders Day in Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow. September 15th, it's an annual?
Every year, yeah.
Annual, and so has it gone from Atlanta to other cities, or is it just in Atlanta? Or in LA?
Yeah, right now it's in Atlanta. We kind of got a stranglehold there, which is great. It's spreading to other states now. I'm here in California. We're getting a big push up in Northern California, so we're taking it into the school districts up in Northern California, which is great. I'm going to be meeting with the school district superintendents up there at the first of the year. Thanks to Principal Joe Dominguez up at Santa Maria High School, because
Dominguez, thank you.
He really believes in the program, and he even took and put one of the frames on his son's cars, his son's vehicle. That he's 16 years old, I guess. So he thought, hey, it's a great program. His wife.
Can you hold that frame up again one more time?
Sure.
Thank you. Hold it up in front of your face.
Here you go.
Hold it up in front of your face.
Right there?
With your face in the frame.
How's that?
There you go. That's perfect. That's what we want to see. So the audience can really get a good shot of that provisional light, No Teen Riders. There you go, audience. Okay, Alan, you can put it down.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So anyway, do you plan on implementing or tying in other programs with it? Is it going to work any kind of way with sports, or is it just a separate program that has to do only with teen riders? Do you plan on starting it, having an adult leg of it? And what does the future look like for Alan Santana?
Well, you know, it's a neat question that you asked. Maybe it's coincidental. I don't know the question of how we're going to take this program and create other programs. I'm actually working on a DUI program right now. We've created a driver's license frame to identify drunk drivers.
Wow, and how is that going to work? That sounds exciting.
It's very interesting. I'm actually getting a lot of positive feedback from that. So we're in with the prototype. In the process of getting the prototype done right now. We're going to be taking that back to Atlanta, Georgia in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And so I'm getting good reception for that because, again, it all ties together. There was some kids that were killed a few months ago. I think back east there was like 14 years that got wiped out in a tragic accident where a drunk driver hit them. He went the wrong way, hit them head on, and they got killed. So again, I saw a need to figure out how to, create a frame to identify drunk drivers or people that have been convicted of DUIs. And so I'm getting a big push, like I said, on that. We're going to be meeting with the judge here in California to try to get a program going here. So that would be neat.
That is going to be neat, and so very well received in Atlanta and where you're based out of, but also just a very much needed program. So where does the future take Mr. Alan Santana? I loved your bio and all the different people you've talked to over time, not only for your sports boxing programs, but also for No Teen Riders. And it's so wonderful to know that you are expansive and that you're looking into bringing the program and making it. I think it needs to be one of those like happy face programs where the happy face is really popular.
Right.
I can easily see No Teen Riders being on every screen across America to really promote, because I think it's important, and especially around the holiday season when there's so much death and dying with car accidents and drinking and everything. So talk to us a little bit about that before we go.
Sure. Well, my vision for the program, and you're right, the logo we have, we want it to be almost like the Golden Arches, the McDonald's Golden Arches, where it's very recognizable and people realize.
It's a household thing.
Right. Hey, this logo, it stands for teenagers and, provisional driver's licenses. So that's the goal. And we do want to take the program across the entire country. I want to get this into every high school that's out there. And the beautiful thing about the program, I didn't mention it, but 25% of all the sales of the frames we donate back into the high schools. And then
that's great. That's a great incentive for the high schools.
It is.
I mean, I would even say first-year college students or colleges to be involved, because you're transitioning kids in school to college. So that would be another great area to see it implemented. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, so, again, we want to donate money back to the high schools. We want to get programs started. There's an educational program. So when I go into high school, I have about a 15-minute presentation that I do for the parents and the staff and the teenagers about driving and the rules, and it's a question and answer session. So that's kind of neat. And what's really what fascinates me about that is it's amazing how many parents don't even know the laws of driving when it comes to their own teenagers. We educate them.
Oh, so it's what I like is that the parents have to be interactive with the program.
Yes.
What do the teens think about the program? It's their program. What do they think? How much are you getting them involved in,
Well, we want to get them involved. They have to be heavily involved in this, believe it or not. So what we're going to do, for example, my son's a teenager. He last one of our kids to drive. He's a senior in high school, and he just recently got his license probably 2-3 weeks ago. So one of my main things with him was to say, look, I'm going to put this frame on your car, and you got to have the decals and stickers to identify yourself as a teenager with a provisional driver's license. And so, he had come home one day a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or so ago, and said, Dad, my friends are going to hate you because of the program. And he was just joking with me, and I said, what, the kids might hate me, but at the end of the day, the parents will love us because of what we're doing. Right. So that was my response back to him. But I think that once teenagers understand, how serious it is when you get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle, that they will grasp onto the program, they'll latch onto it, and you'll start seeing them wearing the hats, the t-shirts we have, and actually promoting this amongst themselves in high school.
Now, do you feel that, really quickly, because our time is running out, do you feel, is the program designed more does it have a male-female aspect to it, or is it just in general anyone that's a teen, anyone that's driving, are there provisions within your program about drugs and drinking and all that you teach as well, or how does that work?
Yeah, we touch on drunk driving. We touch on drugs and how how bad it is. You shouldn't drink and drive, period, or even with a cell phone. So our radio for that fact. One of the major causes, especially on the weekends, is kids will go out and they'll drink. Okay, so.
And do they need to pick a designated driver?
They should. With Uber being around now.
Yes.
Call Uber. It's going to save a lot of heartache and a lot of headaches for people. So, one of the things that kids don't realize is when they get in these accidents, it goes way beyond sometimes losing lives, because now it becomes a financial burden to the parents. Not only destroys families, it destroys lives, it also destroys them financially, because now you're looking at possible lawsuits and a lot of other problems. So it's important that we get that point across about the dangers of teenagers and driving, in that they do not carry any of their friends in the car with them. Here in California, the law states that you cannot have anybody in your vehicle with you unless you're 18 years or older, okay, or you have driven with that license for 1 year without any problems. Or the only other way you could carry somebody in the car is if it could be your parents, obviously, or if they're over 25 years old. So they have to remember that.
Wow, so there are some really fine and strict rules that go along with this thing.
Yes.
So for all you teens out there, Mr. Alan Santana is here to talk to you and to spread the word about his NoTeenRiders.org is the organization. Let's hold that up once again. Hold it up high. There you go.
Guys, I want to see this on every teenage driver's car here in California and across this country. It's very important because it will save lives.
It will save lives. So please, parents, teachers, coordinators, career counselors, you all need to be involved in this program. It is very important, and I'm sure you'll say the same thing, very timely, and we desperately need it. Alan, where can we reach you on social media? How can we find out more about No Teen Riders? How can we find out more about Alan Santana and everything else that you're doing? Go.
You can reach me at on Facebook. Just look up Alan Santana at Facebook. Okay, I have our website, which is www.noteenriders.org.
There we go.
So you can reach me there, or just go on to social media. Google me. You can reach me that way. So okay.
I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah, he has some fantastic background people, and it's been our wonderful pleasure having him. Now, if you need to reach out to him, his manager representative is with Sassy B Productions Worldwide.
Right.
Can you shout that out? Where can we find, how do we connect with your representatives?
Sure, that's Beatrice Davis. Again, you can get a hold of her on the Facebook also, or just look up Sassy Worldwide Productions. Again, Beatrice Davis, and she's located in Chicago. She represents me.
Okay, great. So you got all the info, people. Alan, have a wonderful holiday. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
To everyone out there, safe driving, no texting, no drinking and driving together.
Right.
Please find a designated driver, because the organization No Teen Riders is what we want to hear more about in the future. We want to save as many lives as possible. Again, it's been your girl, Osiris, with 15 Minutes to Show. Talking today to Alan Santana, our guest here in Van Nuys, California. So until next time, you can reach me on 15minutestoshow.com. Also at www.onkentertainment1.net. You can find me on YouTube.